Great.
So you're in Brussels, but you don't speak French, right?
So I'm not in Brussels. I'm actually in Ghent. It's like a Flemish, in the Flemish region. So it's not far from Brussels. I think about 50 kilometers. If you have Ostende, it's like the coast. Then you have Ghent, and then you have Brussels, which is in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
So it's not far. Where are you?
I'm in Bali right now, but I'm from France originally, from the south of France, next to Toulouse, and I live in Bali for over a year now.
And how have you come to live in Bali?
Calling. I was in
Cool.
Bali 6 years ago for traveling backpacking around Southeast Asia. Fell in love with the place, with the people, the energy here. I don't know if you've been, but it's one of the special places on earth that are very spiritual, very intense, very beautiful, magic. And yeah, I always knew I wanted to come back. And then when the COVID happened, I had my practice, like a office where I gave energy session, energy healing and coaching. And this shut down. And then I decided to leave everything. It was not a decision over a night. It took me a while, like 2 years. But I eventually detached myself from anything in France, really anything, and then come here. And I literally have been living my, I cannot even say my dream life because I could never dream of such a life, but this is paradise. This is a
Wow.
community of people like you and me. This is everywhere here. And we help each other grow, and we have so much fun, and we dance and we laugh, and we discover plenty of stuff about us, about energy, universe. It's just so much fun under the sun and the ocean.
So that sounds wonderful. When you say you detached from everything in France, can you share about that process? Because I know a lot of people may have this impulse to go, to travel or to go live somewhere, but like that detachment phase, how did you deal with that? How did you fully detach from everything?
This is the whole thing, because when you live forever in the same kind of places or nearby, and with this conditioning, honestly, I cannot say different than that. It's the truth. A lot of conditioning. So I had my ex. We were together for 4 years, living together with my amazing dog. And I was still, already on my path of like expanding myself outside of my own limits. But I was doing it in such a small place. My environment reflected the way I was thinking for myself. And I was not the happiest. I was content. I was not unhappy, but I was not happy. I was not fulfilled. And I lacked inspiration. And at some point, it became too strong. I was so not aligned that I started being depressed again. And yeah, it was a lot. And then the COVID happened. So quarantine stuff. And then I realized, oh my God, my freedom I know is inside of me, but like how free I am right now. And it started with the implant, for contraception, we can have implants with hormones. And I started seeing how much this was blocking my energy and my natural flow. So I started with that. And that was the click. I took off the implant, then went on a healing journey. It was very difficult in my body. I gained a lot of weight, and then I lost it again. And it was a whole thing. But then basically I detached from the place I was living, my apartment, sold my car, left my ex. Went back to my parents. Like, you detach from everything you've built, and then you go back to the beginning, the very beginning. You kind of like, I made okay, what's going on here? This kind of state for 8 months. I stayed in my childhood bedroom, and then I was like, okay, this is it. I'm saying bye-bye. And I'm just taking
Whoa.
this leap of faith, and then let's see what happens. And it was just magic after that. I kept saying yes to life after this void. Then was the pure expansion in Bali. Bali is it's a mother here, it's calling all of its children, and then it's really supporting and holding all of us. It's beautiful.
Which city in Bali did you go to?
I used to live in Ubud. Now I live in Uluwatu. I don't know if you know.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you were in that 8-month period at home, like, and you were in that limbo, or let's say that phase where you don't know what to have, what happens next, like, what did you do, or what did you use to get yourself through that? Did you do some kind of meditations? Did you do some kind of coaching? Did you see people or listen to teachers? What did you do to keep yourself, going?
Yeah, that's I think the best question, because during those 8 months in my childhood bedroom, where the triggers with my parents were every day, like it was very difficult, and I didn't see anyone besides them. I went inward in the craziest ways. I was only looking on Instagram, like some spiritual guides, teachers, some spiritual influencers as well, and only feeding myself through books, through their sharings. They were already living the lives, that yeah, I really wanted, or something similar, with amazing friends, communities. So yeah, I only fed myself with that. I did my first yoga teacher training as well online. So I was basically in my room doing yoga, meditating, reading stuff about wisdom, spirituality, truth. I was also a lot channeling, working on how to channel, and yeah, just mastering this art, kind of. Yeah, just a lot of spiritual insideness.
Can you recommend any teachers or influencers or books that have impacted you?
Yeah, I actually have a list that impacted me. I can definitely share it with you after our call if you want.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And teachers, it's more French people, so
Okay.
I don't know if I should say it here. But yeah, we in France we have a few absolutely incredible, wise souls, very pure, that share a lot. And those people really helped me going, because um, thanks to seeing them, I knew I was not alone. I knew there was something else. And I knew I
Yeah.
was doing something right inside, because I still felt at peace and
Wow.
very hopeful. So, yeah.
Wow, that's so nice. Now, you also say you were channeling. Did you follow a course or is this like something intuitive that developed and then you kind of intuitively learned and went deeper into?
Yes, that's one. Yeah.
Okay.
We can all channel. I just at some
Mm-hmm.
point it came to me, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
here, a little bit there. And then, yeah, the encounters also. One of my coach actually helped me understand it better, like how it's uh, happening, and
Mm-hmm.
how to master it also. That's what I was doing, really learning how to be a clear channel, how to
Yeah.
purify myself, how to receive. Yeah.
So can you maybe share how does it happen and how do you master it?
I actually just had a lunch meeting with someone today that discovered clairvoyance gifts and wanted
Wow.
to know a little more about that. So I just talked about that a lot. It's funny that you want to know as well, because it's
You
also,
can say it very, very brief. You
yeah,
don't have to do
yeah.
the whole thing.
There's a lot actually to talk about, but to me, being a channel is very simple and logical. Like literally
Mm-hmm.
being a channel, we are a conduit, we are a vessel to receive, transmit. Like there is something flowing. In order for
Mm-hmm.
it to flow, or bodily, physically, energetically, conduit channel must be as clear as possible. Like
Yeah.
if it is already filled with a bunch of dumps and crap and everything on top, it's going to be tough for information, subtle information, to flow, and for us to understand, to see, to listen. So how to get transparent, basically. And there is, of course, many layers to that. There is purity in your mind, many tools to do that, purity in your
Mm-hmm.
heart, your intention, ego aside completely, because you cannot twist the information, the energy you
Yeah.
receive. You have to deliver it as pure as can be.
Yeah.
And purity in your body, because this is the more dense layer, but it's so important. I
Mm.
think you talk about it in some of your videos I saw. But yeah, indeed, the food we eat, the sleep we get, the movement. How does the energy on physical level or moving our body? Do we feel stiff, stuck, heavy? Or is everything able to flow inside very naturally? So yeah, I guess this is the beginning, and then yeah, there's a lot. But I think most it's presence and humility to channeling. We have to be present to receive, and a lot of humility to not twist, not appropriate, of course, and just do that with pure intention. Yeah.
Oh, you say it so articulate. I really like it because it's so simple yet so clear. For me, I remember the first time I discovered it, it was whenever I started to do Joe Dispenza meditations. I don't know if you know his meditations. It's all about like going beyond the mind, going beyond identification with the body and the mind, and then also about bringing yourself into alignment. And when you balance all the chakras and there's alignment, like all of a sudden these dimensions of perception are very subtle in the heart or in like beyond the mind, like in the consciousness, open up, and you're like, oh, it's possible to perceive and to notice and to interact with whatever is the content in consciousness. And there's like, you can interact in between. So all of a sudden I was like very aware, and I was like inviting like my guardian angel to like give me some kind of message. And then I would just say something or invite it. And in my heart, I would feel like an energy, an intention. And all of a sudden I would feel the information come through, but it would come through so clear, and I would write it out or I'd speak it out, or I would just start to know it. But it's like sand, you know, it's like it's going, and you almost have to record it immediately because you forget it almost immediately. For me, that's my experience. It's like it's gone, and then it's like you almost have to remember, what did I just said exactly? What was it's so fluid. It's so yeah, it's so funny. If you channel, who do you channel? What do you connect to?
I guess it depends, but I'm, until now at least, I don't know in a few, I was never like the one that says, oh, I will channel, I don't know, this master ascended, master, this angel, no. I basically, for me, honestly, like sometimes if I intend to, or if I am with someone that is used to channeling, I can actually go to places and like travel really on different dimensions, different planes, and like go to some temples, go to some kind of like galactic meetings.
Yeah.
But this is with a lot of intention or with someone that is accompanying me. For me, what comes very naturally is channeling energies. Yeah, pure energy. And I mostly feel like until this point, my clairvoyance, clairaudience is not the most developed. Like my clairsentience, this is very high. And so yeah, I mostly feel, and I channel light language as well, a lot in science since a long time. And I started talking as well. And yeah, just letting energy run through.
You say when you channel energy, pure energy, do you mean you connect to a specific energy field and you will allow that energy to express itself and interact with the people, or for a specific purpose? How do you mean?
Yes, exactly that, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can literally connect to any field of consciousness, field of energy. And then you can summon it, kind of call it in, and let it flow through you. And then it can be for any purposes. Like during my sessions with some clients, or lately also during the Kundalini activations, I ask to channel the energy that is required in the moment. So sometimes it's going to be an activation of something. And actually, this past year, I stopped leading too much. Like, oh, I want to activate the third eye. Oh, I want to do this and that. I'm more like, okay, we just had this talk with this person. I want to channel the energy that this person is supposed to receive right now. Like, what
Yeah.
it's supposed to activate. And then I actually let myself be guided, and then it goes there or this. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, it's so great. I remember the first time that I learned Reiki, and in Reiki also like you learn to let energy flow through you. I thought it was so like imagine, just imagination basically. I was like, is this really working? But the more you can put yourself into like this surrendered state where you just allow the energy to come, it really just flows, and it has its own intelligence, which then gives you like these impulses to do certain things which are beyond your own intention or beyond your own understanding. I really like it. But I remember I also I followed the teachings of Dr. David R. Hawkins. I don't know if you know him.
No.
He's like he was very much into spirituality, and he created the map of consciousness. So you have all the levels of consciousness. It's like a whole map. And he used kinesiology. Do you know kinesiology? He used that to calculate the truth or falseness of things. And he was like, whenever you're channeling, you always have to make sure that whatever you're channeling is integrous, and that you have to know the intention of it, because there are a lot of things on the other side which are much wiser and older, and we don't know what their intentions are. And they can offer you things, and they can, you know, promise you things, but if you don't know their intentions, they can like use you. So I was always very hesitant about it, but yeah, I guess I never like really delved into it.
That's very
So
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think I totally, like, for me, it's lighting up something when you say that, when he says that. Like, I think it's right, of course. And that's why we should be also careful of our intention. Like, we don't have to lead, for example, the way I don't do or rarely now. We can also just invite energy, but with the intention to only invite the purest energy
Yeah.
or the best energy for this moment. And I guess at least in my knowledge or my experience, this already like narrows it to the right one.
Yeah. Huh.
But yeah, I don't know actually. Just my
Yeah.
experience.
But this is something you learned on your own, right? You didn't follow a course or something.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. So what's been your experience with Kundalini activation?
Yeah, and after I
Can you
would
talk
love
about
to
that?
know actually your
Yeah.
journey as well.
Yeah.
So Kundalini activation, yeah, like I said, I discovered it very recently. And during my first session, it was just everything. Everything happened, all of the phenomenons, physical release, like in the very intense way. And after that, I was so high in that frequency, like literally high for 3 days, nonstop, day, night. I couldn't see. It was completely blur. My whole body, I didn't feel my skin anymore. It was only pulsation of energy. It was just like, I don't know. It was so hard for me to talk. Like when people talk to me, I was just not there. But and so it was scary that first time, but my facilitator was so amazing and super around me and supporting me. And after that, it's kind of like my body, my whole mind attuned to that frequency and got used to it. So then, yeah, the craziest stuff happened in my life. You know, I started shedding skin in uncomfortable ways. Like there was a lot of emotions that needed to be released and healing to do. And after I did that healing, I found myself in bliss states. Wow, even more intense than what I knew before, sometimes. And yeah, I started manifesting stuff like this. I think of something, it's there, like nonstop. And I manifested the craziest thing, the most beautiful, amazing, yeah, events, encounters, collaborations, openness, expansiveness. So yeah, then I did the second one and it was just so beautiful. And I did it with my best friend. She's very into cap as well. And after we got out of this session, we were so high, flying on our bliss. We couldn't feel our skin again. It was just like, oh
Yeah.
my God, it feels so good and so
Yeah.
natural, this essence just flowing. Ah, and time was completely stopped. We were in the present for the whole day, sitting in a restaurant here in Ubud. And just, oh my God, this is amazing. And then we were like,
Mm.
wait, because we both are in energy, and we felt like this calling of like really exploring and diving into this process. How is it working exactly? What is it? Blah blah. And
Mm.
then we were like, okay, you know what, I feel like we can totally like do it ourselves. Should we try?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so we put a music, we lay down, and we just called this same energy that we felt to come, and we surrender to it. And it was exactly the same as in a session, like exactly the same, no facilitators. Because at this moment, and we were like, because we were talking about it and understanding the energy and feeling it, and everything was happening right now. And we were like, oh my God, all you need for this pure life force energy to flow is to create the space to welcome it.
Mhm.
And then in
Mhm.
this moment, what we realize is that we are the space. There is no
Mhm.
space to
Mhm.
create. Every
Mhm.
person is the space. The facilitator is the beautiful space for it. You are the space when it's flowing through you. And that's the proof we had when we put that music and everything was happening just like in a session. Like we are the
Yeah.
space. And from that point, we were like, okay, what do we do with that? We want to learn more, explore. It's so interesting to just dive in as Indiana
Mm.
Jones of energy, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and there were actually friends in the restaurants. Restaurants here in Bali are like the hangout. So it's normal to do those kind of things. So there were friends that saw us and they were like,
Yeah.
whoa, that was so beautiful. Can we know what is it? No? So we started to explain exactly what is it, what we
Mm.
learned from the facilitator. And
Mhm.
then some friends wanted to try it. They were like, okay, but can you just like, yeah, do that for us as well? And we wanted
Yeah.
to try it as facilitating, like how is
Yeah.
it like to surrender to this kind of um, holding space situation with this energy that we
Mhm.
know now inside of us, but this is a different part. So then we organized it with two friends, and yeah, we just surrendered completely, created a space, invited the energy in, and we started feeling it very strongly. Then we did a demo ourselves. Again, it was the same, full surrender. And then started the session. We made a playlist of an hour with, yeah, amazing songs, musics, beats, tempos, and um, and the two-person we did that with were really amazed, because one of them was having the strong reaction in the body as well. So we could see that he was living the same thing that we lived before. And the other
Yeah.
one was having more deep inner journey.
Yeah.
She, for example, she didn't have any movement happening. But for us, it was quite the experience to learn to surrender, because our minds the whole time were like, what are we doing? What is that? This is weird. Are we doing the right thing? Like we know we have the purest intentions, so nothing can go wrong. But
Yeah.
are we doing it right? You know, is it working the
Mm.
same way? Or do they
Mm.
get to feel the energy? And
Mm.
at the end, when they could actually share, they said that they felt everything. That you know, they used the same words as we use when we get out of cap.
Mm.
So
Wow.
yeah, it was a very amazing teaching for us. Yeah.
Can I ask, first of all, when you say you have the purest of intentions with it, what are your intentions with it?
You know, that's a funny question, because yesterday I was actually leading another one, and I asked myself, but what is really my intention? Like, because I don't have a specific one. I just,
Mhm.
again, an energy. I just feel this calling, this, because I felt it myself,
Mm.
this state of bliss, this amazing natural essence being able to run through. Like, to me, what I felt is pure magic. What I'm feeling since is pure magic. And I didn't know that in this lifetime, we got to feel this kind of magic. And I guess in my heart, the intention is that, oh my God, I want everyone to feel this. This is so beautiful. What can we do when we all feel that? Where can we go? What? How is it possible? So yeah, I just
Yeah.
want to spread this loving energy, I guess.
Hmm. It's so interesting that it just came to you like that, and because of your previous history, you were just able to tap into that. Would you mind? You don't have to talk about this if you want, but would you mind sharing how you actually invited the energy to come? Because I've also had, I can also share my experience with
Yeah.
it, because I also tried it.
Okay, cool. I would love to actually, because this is my phone now. I'm just starting. This was last week. And yes, last night I had the second one. Then I searched for information because I was like, oh my God, what is this? I need help and insights. And then I found you and I was like, wow, this is perfect. We're on the same journey, different styles, but we're there, trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, do I do honestly? To me, and I know with my facilitator that she's an amazing, pure vessel channel, that she says she's just a tuning fork. She's nothing, like she doesn't have a gift. Of course, this energy is just everywhere. And she's the tuning fork for this very high frequency that we are not used to. And this is the frequency that we get to feel when we do the cup. So to me, when, for example, I prepare the space or I know I'm going to lead the session, I'm there and I tune in to that frequency. So it's always there for us, I guess. For people who got attuned, what I notice is that it's always there. Once you got taken to that frequency, you can access it if you want.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what I do is that I want it. So I allow myself to surrender completely to that frequency. Once I feel it coming, like for example, now I do, talking about it, then if I would be in the space, I would just quiet the mind and feel it and feel it and feel it, and then let it flow in me, and I would feel it more and more intensely, and then I would get super, super high. And with that, I think it's kind of organic, but still my mind wants to
Yeah.
put words. So I do
Yeah.
put intention. I'm like, okay, I'm inviting this energy into the space to benefit
Yeah.
all the people that will be there today.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is kind of the pure intention. I want to be at the clear channel to help them feel that, so that they
Mm-hmm.
get to this frequency as well, in their own
Mm-hmm.
pace, to their own like level, whatever they need in this moment, but just access this energy. So it's kind of the process.
So you consciously remember the sense or the feeling of being connected with that, and you focus on it and you allow it to expand, and then you have the intention to share it with the people.
Yes
Like
and
that?
no, because I
Okay.
don't even consciously have the memory of the feeling, because it always comes
Yeah.
differently inside my body.
Yeah.
It can be different. It's really like, this is what I'm talking about when I talk to you about magic. I feel like this is literally an energy, a frequency that is here, that is all inside me, all around us. But now that we got attuned to it, if I just kind of focus on it or just call it, it's coming, and then I get to feel.
Yeah.
It's not
Wow.
okay, what did I feel? Okay, this, no. It's really, again, this surrendering. I surrender to this energy, and then boom, it's there. And the more I let go, the more I surrender, the more I feel it.
Hmm. You you say the more I let go, the more I surrender. Can you explain that process happening? Do you go deeper into a feeling, or do you just go away from the thinking and you
Yeah,
focus on being?
exactly that. As you were asking me, I was looking, what do I do now? Because what do I do now is not surrendering to that energy that I'm feeling right now. So, not surrendering is focusing my mind, thinking, being here now,
Yeah.
like doing this. But indeed, surrendering and letting go, it's letting go of the mind, letting go of everything, and just drop into the feeling,
Mm.
really, the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, sensation.
Wow. for you to like, you must be so sensitive to it. But I guess because of your own journey, you must also have had a lot of shadow work done, right? You do a lot of shadow work.
Yeah.
I know it's the, a part that not a lot of people know about or not really interested in. They think you can just all transcend it by high states,
Oh.
but yeah, it's all there.
Yeah.
I wonder, what tools or techniques or teachers or teachings have you used for shadow work, for dealing with shadow work?
For me, it's very organic, it's our, to me, everybody is doing shadow, well, like a natural evolution into your life, you're always, because life is always throwing at you like stuff. Hey, look at that.
Yeah,
And it doesn't
yeah,
show you in a little pet gift. Hey, look at that. No, it's like bringing you all kinds of situations, relationships, triggers,
yeah.
difficulties, old patterns, the same, going over and over, and you being
Mm,
miserable and you blah, blah, blah. And then at some point, you finally have normally to open your eyes and see it.
yeah.
And yeah, for me, it's very organic, just a lot on, I don't know if, but like your own wisdom, through life
Can,
experience.
can you maybe give an example of one thing that happened? I can share one thing
Yeah.
about mine. For instance, what I use for shadow work now mostly is transpersonal coaching and reconstructive. So it's like a tool where you do constellation work, because everything in us is like, we have like this basic programming from 0 to 6, right? Your upbringing, and there you have all your survival mechanisms, your attachment style as a child, your main core beliefs, all those things that are stored there, and your relationship with your mother, your father, and all of that, like all that dynamic. So for me, when I learn about that and learn to use that, I could, whatever issue was coming up in my life, for instance, there was this facilitator that I met. So there was a facilitator, and I was like in this, I was doing breath work, I was going to CAP sessions. So I went to a session, and all of a sudden, like I see her, and I'm like in this high frequency, I feel so at ease. And then I see her, she's like, can I give you a hug? I'm like, yeah, sure. So she gives me a hug, and I feel like this heart connection, like two magnets, like clamped together. And I feel like, oh my God, I feel one, I feel at home. And we stand there for a while, and she's like, wow, this is so nice. I'm like, holy shit, what is this? And because I never felt it like that. And then I let her go. And then after the session, we hugged again, and we're still there. And I was like, whoa, that was so nice. I wasn't attached to it. But as I went home, in my heart, I felt like this ache. Like, I want that back. I want it back. I want it back. I want it back. And like, as the days went on, I would feel like, when you have a tooth that's paining, and it's like, it's like loose or something, and it causes you pain. It was like that. And my head was like, I think I'm in love with her. I think I need her. I think, like, all these stories, like, I want that feeling back. This was something special. And I was like starting to make these all kind of stories. And I was like, oh my God, what was this? And then I was like, wait. Hold on. If this is real, it will be real in 1 or 2 weeks. Just park it. And then I use this tool of constellation, transpersonal coaching, to investigate that feeling. So you focus on the feeling, and then you investigate it from your child self, your parents, and you see all the layers of how it is viewed in your subconscious. And then by looking at that, I realized it was like my inner child had this hurt because there was like, I didn't receive an intimacy from my mother. And I had this thing like, I'm unfulfilled on that level. I need somebody to get that from, because there was the belief I didn't get it from my parents. And then by looking at that, I became aware like, oh, the love in my parents was always there fully, but because of their own conditioning, it wasn't allowed to express fully. But the love was there, but the expression was halted or blocked by their own conditioning. But the love was always there. And when I saw that, there was like a shift, and I started crying, and my heart welled up, and I was like, oh my God, I don't need anything from that person. I don't need anything. But before, I always had the unconscious belief when I looked at women, unconsciously, I was like, I need something from her. Maybe she can give me something. Unconsciously, it was this feeling almost like. And all of a sudden, I realized like I went outside and I looked at women and I was like, I can really see women for the first time how they really are. I don't need anything from them. I can have experiences with them, which are very nice, but I'm already whole here
Mm.
because that belief is shifted. I don't have this need anymore.
Mm.
So for me, that's like one thing how I dealt with shadow work.
That's beautiful. Wow, that's such a powerful shift and feeling to feel after.
Uh,
Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, can you maybe give an example of how you use shadow work in your own experience? I'm
Yeah.
really just curious.
Mm. Uh, yeah, honestly, I will be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there are two things that I think about, and it's unconventional, I guess, but it's what life presented to me. Like in 2020, when I started the detachment phase, I was actually reading New Earth of Eckhart Tolle. And this book, wow, at this moment was absolutely perfect. It changed my whole perception. And it was the beginning of detachment, but on such a deep level. Like I started detaching completely from identification, stories, childhood stories, whatever my story of this Sophie in this life could be, stories of any lifetime I could have had before, during, parallel, whatever. Like detachment on a very core, in the way that I see the value of course, going to look, for example, past life regression or childhood trauma and stuff like that. I always saw the value in that, but I never felt the urge to see it. Like I did hypnosis school and all of that, and we talked about it. But for myself, I just never felt like it was right to do that. Like I felt that there was another way, not as a bypassing, but I literally, there is another way. And this way is, uh, it's big to say that, was like karma free, in this way. Like you can just detach when you realize that we are all one, that you are a spiritual being making an experience, and experience after experience. You can just here and now let go of any stories, really. And then this detachment, so it's like I told now, it wasn't a decision like this. It came really with time, but really it was the invitation of my core that was happening. So I started doing that, I guess, consciously, unconsciously as well. And in this process, I found a tool, um, energetically now, to, like, this was happening unconsciously, then I put conscious on it later, but this was happening already, the detachment of like, no, it's okay. And not, and after it was like okay, and unconsciously triggers would happen in the daily life, of course. And those triggers, and they keep happening, but now less and less, because every trigger is like, okay, this is an occasion to actually, implement it, this detachment that happened already. Like, how do I react now? And boom, I react differently, and it's gone. And then there's another one, and boom, it's gone. And it's like peeling layers by layers. But there was one thing that I did also energetically, to really, like, suppress all bonds with transgenerational, lineage blockages, or past life, parallel life blockages, or childhood as well, but mostly those first two. And yeah, it's a process where, again, you don't, see, or maybe images come, but that's just you. And the process is just about, yeah, self, how do you say, I'm looking for words in English. It's a self-healing process through intention and concentration, where you simply, ask and delete and release any of the cellular memory of the blockages in your DNA, in your field of energy, about the memory you're talking about, or about this or that. And, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did.
So
Yeah.
uh, it's like a technique or something, or
Yeah. 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 It's
what's it
a.
called?
I don't know. Wait. It's a French guy,
Mhm.
and I don't remember the name. Oh yeah, yeah. It's just called releasing karmic memories or family memories. He calls it this way. And now I actually share this tool also with my French clients.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I can,
It,
if you want, I can share it with you. Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's in French, but
It's
maybe I can translate
yeah.
it and explain to you how it's going. Mm.
Yeah, sure. I like that very much. It sounds a bit like a theta healing. Do you know theta healing?
Yeah, I heard of it, but actually I never went to look exactly. But when
Yeah,
you said it, I was like, yeah, yeah, I think,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Great. Okay. Do you have any question for me?
Yeah, actually, I would love to know your journey, how you arrived to CAP. You've done more than 40 sessions, if not, I'm not wrong. Very impressive. I mean, I've done two with a facilitator, and wow,
Mm,
it's already amazing.
mm, mm,
So, yeah, I would love to know everything you have to share. Also, your experience by facilitating the CAP, because you mentioned that earlier. And
mhm.
yeah, just anything that you want to share, I want to hear.
Okay. So before camp, I was in a period where I was in a loop, in a very like cyclical, depressed loop, because like there was a relationship that was just like stuck and I wasn't working, and I was feeling very like depressed in life, and I was very like closed off. And yeah, I had no hope. I was like so like oh my god, life is, I felt so disconnected, because before I was like before that I had this phase where I did an ayahuasca session, and after the ayahuasca I learned how to activate my Kundalini energy at home. So every day I would activate it and I would be in this flow. And then when I would be in this flow, it would lead me. And what it led me to was like a relationship with a certain woman. And in that relationship, like the intention came, give all that you have to give everything that you have to give. So I was like, I wouldn't say channeling, but I was just like in this headspace of like, how can I give all that I can have to give? And it was like I was facilitating space for her to be. And we were in that for a year, 2 years. It was very deep, very profound, energetically, like emotionally, sexually, um, physically, like all layers, conditioning. It was very, very profound. Like it was like the thing I dreamed about, like the great love, the epic love story. I really loved it. But at a certain point, it came to an end. It was like, it has a beginning, middle, and an end. And I couldn't let go of that end. I wanted to hold on to it, because there was this thing almost like, when you surrender to something, to a wave, to a movement, and you're in it and you're like enjoying it and you're like, oh, this is so nice. And I felt so alive at that moment and so connected to life that I was like, I want to keep surrendering to that. I don't want to come out of the surrender. I don't want to go back to normal life. So I got stuck in that, to just wanting to be in the surrendered state, surrendered in love. And so after that, there was like the depressed state, and for a year I was like, yeah, just like in limbo. And all of a sudden I had this impulse like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to basics. What was the basics? And the basics was, Joe Dispenza, his work, like just attuning your energy center so that the energy is flowing. So I started to do that, and I came back alive. I was like, energetically, I was vibing again, and I was meeting other people, and all of a sudden I was very sexually active again. So I was having all kinds of meetings with different kind of partners, women, and I would have like intercourse with them. But I noticed I wouldn't be fulfilled by the intercourse. It was nice. It was always very, very cool and sweet, but at a certain point, I had this impulse, like what I really wanted was to share like intimacy. So I would start to, like every time that I would meet somebody and we would have intercourse, I would like put my hand on their heart and I would be like, I wish you to be happy. And they would repeat it to me, like looking into each other's eyes. And then after saying that a couple of times, my heart would well up and there would be like this energy transmission going from my heart to their heart. And we would go into this state. And I was like, whoa, this is what I really love to do. So I would do that for months. Like I've done it to 20, 30, I don't know how many. Yeah, like a lot. And this one, she was Brazilian, I think, or Colombian. She was like, is this cap? I'm like, what's cap? And she's like, yeah. She showed me a video. I was like, oh, this seems really interesting. Wow, so cool. So I was like, okay, there's one session in Antwerp. So I went to it. And the moment I went into the room and I saw what it was like, I was like, this looks like a ritual, like what we did in ayahuasca. And so this guy, he's like, this is like drugs without drugs. It's like, let's see. So I went under, and from the first time, I just felt this warm glow come over me. And I was like, whoa, like the energy came alive and it has its own intelligence. And the first thing that was like seen was like cutting cords. I would see energetic cords to my past, to past relationships, and they would start to get cut. And the moment they were cut, like I would feel an energetic shift, a relationship shift to whatever was cut. All of a sudden, I would feel different about it. I was like, it isn't like this beautiful thing that I fantasized that it was like. It's just this, and now it's done. A relationship, for instance, or a fantasy with somebody else, or an attachment to a certain kind of behavior. They were all being cut. And then I was like, holy shit, I feel so connected to life. I feel high on life. So I started to go every week. So every week I would go to a session, and every week it was like a new revelation. Like, okay, then I was like being asked to let go of yourself. Like this, I would start to be aware of this voice, this voice that's like your phase of satisfying your own desires is done. Now you have a phase of being of service. So all of a sudden I would start to release like these deep emotions, but then I would also be like confronted with my own limitations. Like I was like shy to shout, because some people were shouting in their session or like screaming or dancing, and I was like too shy for it. I was energetically open because I had done a lot of Kriya yoga, but I was still like very like shy about it in a group setting. So as the session continued, I went deeper and deeper into just like letting go. I would have these experiences where I felt like my body was dying, and it's just like, you have to let go. You have to let go ego. You have to let Igor die. He's like, whatever he's done, that's over with. You have to let go of that identity. And I was, or not identity, but of that who you were. And it's like, whenever I was letting go, I felt like this new state of being would arise. And after the session, in between the sessions, when I would be in this vibration, I would feel that I would be so vibrationally active. I would feel whatever was resonating with me and whatever was not. It was very, very easy for me to distinguish, like, this is for me, this is not for me. And also things would start to come up like, whoa, a certain teacher or a certain healing modality or a certain opportunity. It's like, do this. And I would feel it. And with certain things, I would feel in my heart, like all of a sudden, it's not for me. So all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is so strong that it's like, it's resonating this strongly. And sometimes even like whenever I would do some kind of unconscious behavior, I would feel the energy come up, and it was, I thought like I was possessed, because all of a sudden it would come up and my body would block, and it's like, no, you're done with this, stop this. And my mind would be like, holy shit, the energy is talking to me. This is so strong. And and I kept going to the sessions. And then like at session 17, 18, I would start to see like, start to see angels, start to see guardian angels, and I would like start to channel at home all of a sudden, like through my guardian angel and my higher self, and like receiving and writing out all these things that I have to do, like communicating. And I was like, whoa, but what do I do with this information? Like, do I do it all at once? When is the right time? And I realized for me, because of my own upbringing and my own experiences, my my masculine side isn't fully developed yet. So because I was raised by women, and because it was so easy for me to go into surrender, it's very comforting for me to go into the feminine side, to surrender and be and flow. It's so nice. And because of that, I overuse that, and that masculine side is underdeveloped. So I realized, okay, I have to develop that more, be around men more, challenge, allow that strong side of me to come out and to develop that. So I started to do, like I'm starting now more, and I started to do more workshops that are more into, working with being a man. How can you be a man in this society? How to find your own manhood and all that stuff. And then as I started to see all kind of angels, I would see like my purpose in life. And it was like, your purpose in life is to be a light in the world. Like, I was like, God, what is your will? What is your will for the world? And I saw like the earth globe, and I would see like beings, humans, light up like light beings. I would see the whole world lit up with light beings, and a voice said, this is my will. And so the more sessions that came, I would have this deep devotion, almost like to God. And I was like, I would start to talk into my sessions like, I'm a servant of love. I want to serve love. And I would sing all of a sudden this, whenever angels would come, I would start to sing Elohim, which is Hebrew for God, like a Hebrew name. I would start to sing it like Elohim, Elohim. It was so devotional, but my mind was resisting, like, I don't want to serve something, like, I don't want to be a servant. It was so hard, the resistance. And so I was dealing with that and letting that resistance go. And because for me, it was so new, but it was so strong. And then there was a period where I was connecting with like light beings and masters, and they were like connecting me to my innocence, to my inner child. There were also like sessions where I would see like the lines of my ancestors being cleared up. So that would like be cleared up, or it was like passing all through me and I was letting it go. Or maybe that was my projection of it. Like that was really like such an intense experience. I still remember it, but I didn't know how to contextualize that, because it was so strong. I would see my timeline and there would be all this light streaming through me. Like that session, I was like so explosive, on fire. Like my facilitator was like, that was so intense, like holy shit. And after that, like things would just start fall into place. Like I would have like this realization of like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. And all of a sudden my life, when I look back, it was like, oh, I have new values, and I have new like desires, because it's like your lower self desires fall away and your higher self desires become apparent. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is what I really want. So this is my purpose now. And I would see like visions in my camp sessions of like things that I need to do, like go to this training, do this, start to do this with these people. And I would just follow the breadcrumbs. And at a certain point, I was going like 2 times a week even. And I was like, let's see how it is if you up the intensity. So I went 3 times in a row, just like overdoing it and chasing that high. And my facilitator was like, Igor, you're going way too much. Like Venance, the creator, he says, you should keep it to once a week, once a week minimum. And I was like, okay. I felt very like hurt, because I was getting that high, I was getting that juice. But then the more space was led between the sessions, I realized like, oh, the importance of integration. I was like, oh, okay, because the more integration time you have, the more the energy can settle down. And then I realized, oh, it's not about being in the high state of consciousness. It's about being grounded in your life and allowing the energy to make the adjustment, the realignment that's needed, and then allow that to manifest whatever is needed in your life, to take that with you and to then manifest in your life and embodiment. So after that, I was like, I applied to be a facilitator once, and they rejected me, and I was like, oh my God, I felt so like hurt, because in a sense, like when I was introduced to this, for me, it was like, I was so enthusiastic about it. It was like, you know, when you're a child and you see like Harry Potter or something, this magical school. And for me, it was like that. It was like, I was like, whoa,
I
there's
know.
this magical school and you learn magic and the muggles don't know about it. It's like this whole...
I know, I
So,
felt the same.
so that was like, oh, I can be a wizard too. And all of a sudden I got denied and I was so hurt. But then my facilitator, she told me like, every no is a yes. Like, trust your path. Like every time you get a no, it's a yes for something else. And as the sessions progressed, I worked with it. I was like, why did I feel disappointment? It's like, you know, being a CAP facilitator or being there, it's not who I am. It won't give me the fullness of who I am. It's just a form in which a certain part of myself can express itself, and I can have certain experiences, but I don't need it to be who I am. I don't need it to feel who I am really. So I let that attachment go, and I was like, it's okay. And then I started to have like these visions, like that I would be a CAF facilitator, but it would be like somewhere in the future, and I would see like a timeline that I need to go through some things. I was like, okay. So all of a sudden, like inner dance started to come in front of me. So inner dance started to come in front of me, and I was like, this is like working with music. And I thought, what is this? So I signed up for the training. It's an online training. And like one facilitator in what's it called, in Netherlands, who's a CAF facilitator, she has done inner dance also. And there's also another training that I really want to do. It's like a Kundalini bodywork by Elliot Saxby. Do you know it? Yeah, it's like, I really want to do that as well. Have you done it?
No. No,
Okay.
but I was doing research and I saw him as well.
Yeah, I really like how he explained, you know, about, you know, the shadow aspect of it and all that stuff. So I'm gonna do it probably this summer in Denmark, that training. But yeah, so I started with the inner dance. She really recommended it to me. She was like, it's all about higher state of consciousness, integration. It's similar to CAP. And I was like, okay. So I signed up, and then in the first module, we go on this live Zoom call, and we talk. And she's like, so in inner dance, as a facilitator, you don't take on the identity of a healer. You don't say, I'm going to heal you. I'm the healer and you're the healer, because then you put yourself into a limited position, and you put a limit on the participant. It's like you just you just hold the space, and you just open yourself to whatever wants to happen. You have to trust the energy that it knows that whatever needs to happen will happen. And so she explained about how mirror neurons work, so our brain symmetry. So when we see people do some things, go through a certain process, or having some kind of activation, somehow our memory, our our body memory, our brain memory, it can like remember or activate those same abilities in us just by seeing it. By the act of seeing it, we can attune ourselves to whatever's happening. And so it was like, after the first session, she's like, okay, so we do a session now, and then the next session, I'm gonna let you guys facilitate. I was like, what is this bullshit? Like, how can I facilitate? Like, I didn't receive a transmission. I didn't, like, what are you talking about? I didn't learn how to do energy work. I didn't do, like, what? I didn't learn any techniques. And she's like, no, it's okay, it's okay. I was like, what? So I go into this private room with a participant, and I was like, wait, Serena, am I really just gonna look at this person lying there on the floor here from my computer screen for 1 hour? I'm just gonna look. Like, are you for real? Like, really? And she's like, yeah, just let it happen. Just let it happen. I was like, okay. So I put it, like, the music was put on, and the person was lying there, and I just watched there, and I felt so uncomfortable. And then, like 30 seconds into it, like, I felt this vibration, this frequency come in, and all of a sudden I felt like I closed my eyes and I dropped into my heart on this emptiness, and like I realized my body was like almost in this trance state. Like, all of a sudden, it's like I'm in this intuitive flow, and I'm like, just like, things are happening. I'm moving. Like, my hands are starting to interact with her body, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what my intention is. I don't know what I'm supposed to do or not to do, but I see my hands that are moving. I start to make sounds. I start to flute. I start to see things like from her energy grid. I see sometimes like how the energy is moving in her body. And so things are happening.
But did you surrender
But
to it? Or did it happen like almost forced? Or
so basically, this is a good question. When I was doing ayahuasca, I had also done Bufo alvarius, which is 5-MeO DMT. Do you know that?
Yeah.
So when I was doing that, and my first experience with doing that, it was it was unlike anything I've experienced it. Have you ever done it?
No.
So do you want me to share it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to ruin it for you, but every experience is going to be different anyhow, in a way. But what happens is, you smoke this vapor from this venom of this toad, and the moment you smoke it in, you, like, everything becomes misty, and you just fall on the ground, and you start to lose all your senses. Like, you start to lose your physicality, and it feels like your body is dying. All of a sudden, you feel like the body is going into dying mode, and you feel like, oh my God, like life is leaving, and your mind is reacting like, no, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. Like, literally, because all of a sudden, like, if everything now is open to you, your experience becomes like this, and you're just going through an intense death process, which is very intense and very like in the moment. So you're like, I'm just dying, but you don't move. And then, like, my body started to move, but I wasn't moving. I was like, holy shit, like, my body's moving. And I was like, the pain was getting worse and worse and worse. I didn't want to let go. My mind was like, I don't want to die, please. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Like, fuck, why did I do this? I don't want to die. And because you're so into that experience, so sucked into it, you don't have any ability to rationalize, like, oh, I'm in this setting, everything is okay, it's safe. You're just like in the experience of it. And it's like, whew. So you're going through it, and then the pain becomes so hard. It's like, that it's too painful to hold on. And the mind is like, oh, okay, it's fuck it, like, this is too painful. It's okay to die. It's okay to not exist anymore. And it's like, you let go. And the moment you let go, like, there was this energy release. And my body was like doing all kinds of movements, like shamanic movements, like screaming, like ah, like doing shamanic movements and dancing in certain ways. And then there was like this energy release, and I just saw like this big bright white light, and like this sphere of white light, which was like infinite. And I felt like this infinite love, and there was just this sense of I am. And it was just like infinite, and I could like, there was, the feeling was coming from my heart looking back at it, but it was just like infinite. It's like a room filled with infinite warm gas or something. It's warm and it's full of love. And I opened my eyes and I looked at people, and I was crying, and I was like, I love you. I would die for you if I could save you. Like that was coming out of me because I was in that high state. And then I lay down, to chill, to decompress. And while I was laying there, like all of a sudden, like my mind came back online. Context, like, this is a woman, I'm a man, this is allowed, this is not allowed, this is proper, not proper. And tension would start to come into my body back. Tension because of the conditioning, because of what I'm not allowed to do. And so in that moment, during that session, I really fully released, fully let go. So because of that, I have the imprint or the memory in my body of fully surrendering, of fully letting go. So because I have that in my body, whenever, like in CAP or in inner dance or whatever, I can just go into that surrender because I have that memory. So whenever I was doing inner dance, it's like my mind is sitting there anticipating, and I'm looking, and the music starts. And once the music starts, it's like you just feel the frequency, and it's like you just shift into that frequency. And when you shift into the frequency, it's like you let go of the steering wheel, and you're just looking how the energy is using your body. So you're there present in the present moment, but you're not doing, you're not moving, you can have thoughts about like, what does this mean? Why is she moving? Why is she not moving? Is energy really going through my hands? Am I really imagining this, or is this really happening? But if you analyze it, you're not doing it. The energy is using it, because once the session is done, it's like the frequency shifts again, and you're like, okay, it's done. Whatever needed to be done was done. And then you're like, okay, I didn't do anything. I just had the experience of giving up control and allowing the energy to use me as a vessel for the expression of consciousness. So I was like, whoa, this is so neat how this works. So yeah, like the more sessions that I did, the more that I realized, it's just about stepping aside. But like that experience with the Bufo Alvarez, it helped me so much, because if I didn't have that or be in that surrendered state, I would be a person trying to do something in that setting, trying to get some kind of result. Because I would be functioning from that person consciousness, identity kind of mode. Like my friend, this is very interesting. My friend and me, we had very similar journeys. We went to the ayahuasca retreat together, and when I had my awakening of Kundalini, I was using the energy of awakening to feel happy, to attract, to manifest. I was using it to create the person and the life that I wanted to create, and to feel everything that I was lacking before. So to overcompensate for what I missed. So I was chasing high states of consciousness. I was chasing pleasant experiences, all that stuff. I was not interested in truth. I was not interested in enlightenment or that kind of stuff. It was nice, but only when I was suffering. Because what I would notice was, experiencing all these states is so nice when you're in a flow, but at a certain point, you experience the limitation of being in that state. You still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, your screen locked up. But I noticed, like, I would experience like being in this state. It's limiting me to be open to the moment, because I'm just in this happy state or in this surrendered state, but I don't have like full contact with truth. I only have, so my conditioning, my shadow always was still there. So whenever I would come out of the high states, it would still be triggered, it would still function, it would come out. I was like, holy shit, I thought I could transcend all that by being in these states. And so I did an interview with another girl, and she was like, after doing my CAP sessions, 3 CAP sessions, and my Kundalini was awakened, what I did was I felt so attracted to non-duality, like Jim Newman, Tony Parsons, all that kind of stuff. And they like really deconstruct reality. They really deconstruct, like, when you're born, there is wholeness, but then the identity is created, and then there's the sense of lack, the sense of worthiness, unworthiness, and this person grows up with other persons, and then the person may start to become sensitive, and he may start to become aware that he's a lower self and he wants to be a higher self, you know, wants to be a good person, a healer, a helper in the world, all that. It's a new identity. And like when they deconstruct all that, and basically they come to the let's say the essence, which is there is nothing arising as everything. That's all there is. Nothing arising as everything. And she was focusing her energy of awakening on that process. And after like a year or something, she was letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. She got enlightened. So now she's like in this state of just like not being there anymore. So there's no person anymore. There's just whatever's happening. And she's just, life is flowing. And I was like, whoa, this is so interesting. So I hadn't seen my friend for some time, and he was like not into spirituality anymore. So all of a sudden I was like, let's go to CAP. Like there's this thing that I've been doing for a while now, CAP. Like, let's activate your Kundalini energy. He's like, yeah, let's do it. I was talking about my experiences, and he was like, whoa, like that sounds really neat. I want to experience all that as well. So then we went to CAP. His experiences in the beginning was like, he didn't feel a lot, and he also had this sense of like, is this voluntary or involuntary? It feels like I'm doing this. And I realized it's like, if you don't have a lot of meditation practice where you can distinguish when things are coming by, when you're just stuck into the functioning of yourself, you can have the sense that nothing involuntary is happening, that you're doing everything. But if you have that let's say that habit of meditation and being present, and you see that things just pop up, you can distinguish, this is voluntary, this is involuntary. And so as the sessions continued, he got so disappointed because he was not getting the same experiences as I was having. And then after a while, he was like, I'm done with it. I'm done with it. Because I had a session with a facilitator with whom I had the connection with. And the thing was, we went to that session, and I wasn't planning to go, but we went to that session. And when she came to me to work on me, all of a sudden, I opened my eyes. This was so new to me. I opened my eyes, and like the energy was like guiding me to sit next to her. And I was sitting opposite of her, and we were just staring. And I realized, because of my inner dance facilitating experience, I had now like this new ability to be awake and to move during the CAP sessions with open eyes, to be in that energy. I was like, this is so cool. So I was sitting, and we were just staring, and like there would be like these impulses triggered, and then we would have like this inner dance. We would come, we would hug, we would like have like these energetic transmissions. And he opened his eyes, and he saw that, and he was like fuck that guy. Like he was even gonna come, and now he's here and he's having these kind of experiences, and I'm not having any. What is this? He was so frustrated. And he went home and he was like, yeah, like I'm so fed up with this. Spirituality isn't working. And I was like, you know, put your hand on your heart and just say, if there is a God, I ask for his help now. Just say that a couple of times, like sincerely in your heart. And he said that. And then the next day, he had this impulse all of a sudden to all day listen to non-duality. Non-duality. He listened to it like for a full day straight. And then another day. And then he called me up and he was talking to me. And I noticed there was a lightness in his speaking. Before there was a density. There's like this story, this person. And all of a sudden there's this lightness, this openness. And I was like, holy shit, like something shifted. He's like, yeah, I don't feel like I'm here anymore. I just feel whatever's happening. And as time passed, like I realized like, whoa, he's like, he shifted. He had like a shift and he did a cap session again. First we did an inner dance session and he was so active, like he was making sounds, he was moving. He was like, I was like, holy shit, this is like a full 180 from what you were doing now. It's like, and he's like, yeah, because I'm not in the way anymore. Yeah. Because I'm not expecting anymore. I'm not, because he let go, because he saw through his identity, or the shift, the energetic shift happened. And I was like, whoa, this is so neat. I was like, maybe I should watch this non-duality stuff too. So I started watching it, but then I felt the hope like crumbling, the hope for my story, my path with Cap, my visions, the future. Well, it was like crumbling. And I was like, no. And I felt inside of me, there's like no, I don't want to lose this yet. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying my path. But I felt it was like something was sucking like this identification to, I am on this journey and I'm going to have these neat experiences, gonna become a facilitator, gonna have like this high consciousness community, high consciousness relationship, high consciousness, whatever, lifestyle. And all of a sudden that was all losing. And I was like, I don't want to lose this. So I shut it off and I was like, whoa, this is so dangerous. And I couldn't confront it. And I have watched a little bit, but not fully. And I realized, because I now have a very interesting story, which I'm really invested in, I really want to live it out. So I can't fully let go. But I know once the story becomes really bad and I'm suffering really bad, then I'll go. It's sad, but it is how it is.
So I understand. I totally see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was doing the inner dance training, but when I was doing the training, I was doing it at home, and I had my partner was over, and she was looking at me, and she saw me making all kinds of sounds. She's like, oh my God, what is this? What is he doing? And she was filming it, sending it to her parents, sending it to her friends. Like, he's unstable. This is not normal. Like, all these things that are happening in his process. And she's like, you need to stop this. This is not, this is not, this is not helping you. And I'm like, because we were together, I was like, yeah, okay, sure. So I stopped doing the training, and I just started facilitating. I facilitated her, some friends, like some people, and just facilitating. Now with inner dance, the thing was, Venant Wang, the creator of CAP, he studied inner dance also. So in inner dance, they work with music that creates specific brain waves. So you have theta, alpha, gamma, all these kind of brain waves, and they work with music which activates certain brain waves in a very specific order. So there's a build-up and there's a coming down. Now in this process, there is a 12-step transformation process that's happening. So the music in inner dance is also continuous. There is no one song stops, another song ends. It's just a continuous flow of music that where you're in it the whole time. So it's like the teacher and the way the songs are made, it's like it's all mixed, like with a shamanic mix app or something. It's mixed together, so there's no, you know, like next song, there's no skip.
Yeah.
Because in cap you have that. Sometimes you're in it, and then the song's over and you're like, you know, like it's done, or you lay down, or it relaxes. And sometimes a new song starts and something may get triggered, but sometimes you may just lie there for some time and not things might not happen. I mean, the energy is still working, of course, but there's a difference when you do inner dance than when you do a cap. With cap, in my own experience, and I can be wrong, but it's my experience, it's like I go there and it's like this fiery energy, like I get connected and the energy is like just like burning me up, and there's like, you know, lightning and explosions and shifts happening, and it's very, very intense, very. And my teacher said he's really put a focus on the Kundalini energy. But with us, with inner dance, originally, we didn't put this emphasis on the Kundalini energy, because energy is energy. All energy is just energy. So they work with just consciousness and energy. And there's not this specific focus on, you know, because when you go to CAP, you receive a transmission, right? You receive the non-dual transmission and the Kundalini transmission. So you get two frequencies that are being activated. What I really loved about it, though, is like, because when I was at home before, and I was doing just my own practices by myself, doing self-inquiry, who am I, like all that kind of stuff, and I was doing deep meditations, I noticed that whenever Kundalini was happening, it was so, how would you say, it was so, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't understand how, what, and it was so like beyond my control. What I really loved about going to CAP was the sense of like, I go to a session, and in this small space of 1 hour, like I feel the energy is activated, but the energy, it's like working in accordance with the non-dual energy, so it works intelligently. There's a very intelligent way in which there's just one step or a couple of steps that are being done that are appropriate to you at this moment in time. So it's appropriate to what you need at this moment in time. You won't get what you cannot handle. And I really love that, and I really felt that it's like, oh yeah, like now I get this step. It's very progressive. I really love that. Now with inner dance,
I just will get my charger because it's gonna.
Go ahead.
All right. So you were saying with inner dance?
With inner dance, when the music starts, you feel also the energy activating you, but the process is not that like you don't feel that kind of intensity like with CAP. Like I didn't feel that kind of intensity like with CAP, because with CAP there was like this energy, and it was with inner dance is like your own process gets started, and you can do it on yourself also just by putting on the music, and you will have your own process. And because of the music, the way it is, it's very like all inclusive. You get this feeling of like a network of wholeness, and you sink deeper and deeper and deeper. So whatever may be happening, however intense or explosive it is, there's just like this sense of sinking deeper and deeper, and there's this wholeness aspect, like this openness. Whereas with CAP, when I was doing CAP, there was this thing of like a very specific thing, like, and we work on this thing, it goes up, it explodes or it releases or whatever, and then it's like, okay, and now the next thing. You wait for the next movement, for the next wave, for the next activation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's my experience. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will change. So far, it's my experience. And if you want, we could do sometime an inner dance session through Zoom, where you would just lie down, you would put on the music with headphones or without headphones, and I would facilitate from here, and you would experience it how it is for yourself.
Yeah, I would love that
Make
actually, because
yeah.
last night when I was looking at your videos, I signed up for inner dance on the 4th of June in 1 week from now. So I'm
Oh.
gonna try it with, I guess, your teacher, Sena?
Serena.
Serena, yeah.
Yeah. Ah, you're gonna, okay, great.
Yeah, so I will try it
Yeah.
next Saturday to feel it, because yeah, I'm
Yeah.
interested. I actually, so thank you for sharing all of that. Everything is super interesting, and yeah, I wanted to react sometimes, but then I didn't because it was just so interesting. So I guess I just want to say some things that can be interesting for you as well, that I learned recently. But yeah, before that, I just have a follow-up question on what you shared. Do you still feel, even though the intensity and the landscape, like the feeling of it is different, but do you feel like it's the same frequency, the same kind of energy?
Mm.
Because energy is so specific, it's very
Mm-hmm.
subtle,
Mm-hmm.
but specific. So
Mm.
can you tell if it's the same?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it's the same. Hmm.
Do you get the same feeling of bliss, or whatever feeling you feel?
It's like the only like I'm remembering all the things from the past, right? My experiences, and trying to look for distinctions. And the only differentiation that I can notice from the experiences, it's like in inner dance, um, you have your own activation, and it's your own activation. So inner dance you can do every day, like you can do every day, and because it's working with your own energy, it's working with your own Kundalini energy, and you have your own process. With CAP, if you would do CAP every day, it can become a bit strong, because you get activated. You get activated from you get that activation from somebody else, and you get that transmission. And when you and it feels more intense. It's like in inner dance, I have my own process, and once it's done, it's done. With CAP, it's like I have my own process, but there's this layer added on top of it. And this layer added on top of it, it's a very specific energy. So it's like just this adding on, and it's working with you, and it's intensifying everything, and it's guiding you almost like, yeah, I felt like guided through it, and it was like somebody was holding my hands throughout the whole thing. So there's a small difference. I don't know if it's the same. Honestly, I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's very interesting already. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Next Saturday, you will know, I guess.
Yeah, but I would love to experience with you as well, of course.
Mm.
And yeah, I think what I have to share with you is going to be interesting for you, as maybe as much as it was for me, because well, you clearly know a lot about CAP and how it's done and going, and it said that indeed it's a transmission. So there are two transmissions, as you said, like literally what we hear in that is that Venant, I guess, is transmitting the Kundalini energy, then he's transmitting the non-duality.
Mhm.
And well, first, my own experience, very small, but still, I can say that without Venant or anyone, I have been activated, as all of us, by CAP. And I can say that I like I can channel or attune to the cap energy
Mm-hmm,
without
mm-hmm.
someone passing it on to me. I was
Yeah,
just presented by it by a facilitator one day, then
yeah.
second day, whatever. And now I can just attune to it. And so these already like kind of crumbles the idea that someone is supposed to transmit something, even though sometimes it can be maybe a quicker way. Energy is always accessible, but mostly I know a CAP facilitator. She's French, and but she lived in Mexico for a while, in Ibiza also. She's CAP facilitator for 2 years, so it's
Mm-hmm.
been a while, and she's done CAP all the time. You know her, maybe?
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Ah, okay.
No, no,
So
no.
yeah, I saw that she talks a lot about Kundalini activation, but she doesn't use CAP anymore.
Mm.
So, and she was talking about stuff, I don't know, the way she was talking on her social media, it was a bit different. So I went to talk to her and I asked, what do you mean by all of that? Like, what's your point? I don't really get you. And she said, look, I trained with Venant and I did everything and I was CAP facilitator. But what I understand, because I understand energy and I actually have been experiencing it a lot as a facilitator as well, is that there is no transmission, of course. Like that makes a lot of sense for me as well. No one has a power to give that kind of power to
Mm.
someone, it's always there. And she said, so Kundalini indeed is always there. It's like, or spiritual intelligence, you know? So it's all about creating the space, she says. So she talked about dreaming awake or inner dance, which is kind of similar about this creating landscape space. And then she said, and the non-duality is literally neutral state. So this, you don't need a transmission for that. You can spend the day on YouTube. You can do a little meditation. You can practice this neutrality inside of you. But she said, everyone has access to CAP, to Kundalini activation, and you can do it in many ways. So yeah, now she's like teaching people how to do it, I guess, more intuitively or flowingly. And I wish I could go to her training, which is in September, I guess, in France, but I'm gonna be in Bali, so no. But yeah, this kind of like explains what I've been living and experiencing, and it kind of opens also doors for people like you and me who feel this urge and this impulse of sharing that. Yeah.
Mm. Wow, so nice. Thank you. It really resonates with your saying. My teacher, she also talked about this, about the whole, transmission and all of that. And I've met other people like from YouTube that wrote to me that were also like, yeah, it's just marketing. Valent has a really good marketing. It's a really nice, yeah, cap, and the way it's presented, it's yeah, it can become very popular like that. Um, yeah, yeah, but thank you for sharing that. I would love to get the contact info from your friend in France because I can go in September, so maybe I'll go to her training.
Yeah, I will give it to you for sure.
Mm,
Yeah, I
cool.
think it's interesting. But thank you so much for sharing all of that, because I'm thinking now about, you talk a lot about non-duality. And until yesterday night, this is a
Mhm.
concept within the CAP exploration of my own that I didn't really put an emphasis on. It's not something that I had a lot in my mind. I was more like driven by the energy and like, okay, let's do that. And then with my
Yeah.
own, I guess, unconscious now knowledge about being as clear as I can, which means the more neutral, I thought it was okay. But last night during the activation I facilitated, this was a big problem actually. Um,
Mm.
my mind was a lot in the way. It didn't stop the energy of doing its work and everything, but wow, it put me in. It was very difficult for me. Like
Yeah.
energetically, it was like the energy was so intense, it was so there. But at the same time, the energy created by my crazy thought at this moment, it was, I don't know why, last night it was a lot. And yeah, a lot of expectations, a lot of, so all kinds of stuff running so intensely, and it created kind of like, yeah, this not able to let go fully, not able to surrender to that, and this came and block the energy. And since the energy was so strong with my heart intention, and my mind was like that, it was so much effort. I was sweating. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and when I left the session, I could, I don't know, I was extremely confused. I was disappointed in myself. I was all kinds of
Mm,
things, because of that, not able to let go, um,
yeah.
not able to maybe give what they should have received, which again is a lack of humbleness in my mind because I'm not giving anything. But still,
Mm,
I guess we can be a more beautiful space than sometimes. So yeah, this non-duality comes very strong since last night, and I truly sense that it's a big part of it indeed, and I want to work on that a lot. So thank you for
mm,
sharing your experience also about the buffo and how the body remembers, because I think this is very amazing to know for all of us people that actually, yeah, the body is kind of magic in this way.
mm,
And if you
mm.
have such an experience, then boom, you can access this state just like any other state. But yeah, indeed, if you've experienced something, some kind of level of consciousness, of energy, and the body remembers, so you can access it again.
Yeah.
So it's really, really nice,
Mm,
because I guess with that knowing, then we can use it consciously, this gift.
yeah. Well, when I started to do inner dance facilitation, because I've done Reiki also, I would sometimes realize that during the session, besides the waving with the hands and doing all that kind of stuff and allowing the energy to flow, sometimes the Reiki would also be used. So I would put my hands somewhere, or my hands would be put somewhere, and I would feel the energy come like in Reiki from the earth and from the sky through the hands. I was like, but I was not doing it consciously, but it's like, whatever is here is just being used. It's so interesting also what you said about the frustration. One of the facilitators that I know, she said when she came back from training, she had this belief like, this, will it really work? Maybe it won't work. So she was trying it on her friends, and especially in the beginning, she was like, okay, it works. But then when the clients came, she had this kind of thing like, I really want them to feel something. So when they were not moving, or so, she was like, because of her she wanted them to have something, to receive something valuable, and to do a good job. She said, I was doing way more than I should have. I was like trying to do extra, to go deeper, to do. And mostly what people would say afterwards, headache, so much headache. Because, and she's like, and then after a while, she's like, the more I just let go and I trusted the energy, it's like, it's okay if they don't move. It's like, it doesn't matter. And they would just receive what was needed. They're like, trust that the energy will do whatever is needed. And then they wouldn't have headaches anymore.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, this is
Oh,
exactly how
oh,
it comes. Yeah.
also, before a session, what I usually do is, not always, sometimes I can just tap into a state of consciousness, and I'm in that, like you say, that neutral space where everything's just flowing. But sometimes whenever there's like a bit too much, or my space feels filled up, or with a lot of stuff, I do actually some kind of different meditations before the session, if I know I have a session, or yeah, for my own sessions, and also for the facilitation sessions. I started to do this very intuitively, because I noticed if my consciousness would be in a certain kind of state, my session would be very different. But if I was in this neutral space, my process would unfold so beautifully, and it would almost be like a dance, like a flow, where the energy comes and you're flowing and the experience just happens. You're not there to to be in front of it.
Yeah.
So what I use is, do you know Muji?
No.
So he's like a non-duality teacher, I guess, and he has like this this YouTube channel, and there's this thing that he does, the invitation. It's like 10 minutes guided inquiry or guided meditation, and I would just do that, and I recommend it to my friend as well, and he immediately noticed it worked.
Wow.
Because all of a sudden before he was like, you know, with expectation and kind of like, I want something to happen, and after before he would do the session, he would do the meditation, and then he would do the session, he's like, oh, whatever happens happens. He was like in this calm neutral state, because there was not this investment in the story of the expectation or the story of whatever needs to happen. So I will send it to you.
Yeah,
It's like 10 minutes or something. I usually listen to that, and really gets you out of your mind into your heart. And yeah, it's this empty neutral state. It's really nice. And now also, like the more sessions that I do, and the more like that I live, I really like value like that peace in the heart, that you have like this peace in the heart, that you're like, oh, whatever's happening, it's okay. Because before, I would be so attached to, you know, if something's happening in my life, I'm so hyped, like, yes, I deserve this. Finally, I get to live this. This is so nice. I'm enjoying it.
mm-hmm.
And then when something would break down, I would like, you know, like be so disappointed by it. And I would like struggle and suffer and be like, oh, it's ended. Have this nostalgia, like, oh, it was so nice. It was so nice. I have that longing, like, I want that again. And now the more that I experience like these states of just being in the heart, there's this peace, this zero point state where it's just like full emptiness. And you're in the state, and whatever's happening, you can just be present with it and intimate with it. And you can just like, whatever's happening, heartbreak, good experience, bad experience, you're just like intimate with it. You're like, you're just like inviting the experience, and you just go through it. And I value that so much. I was like, oh, this is so nice for me to realize that that is what's really important for me. Because if I have that, then I can live my life fully open, instead of only, you know, like in certain kind of experiences, very fragmented.
Thank you for sharing that. I love it. I love the way you explain this. Yeah, peace in the
No
heart.
worries.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. This is amazing. This is so beautiful, because yeah, it does feel like this is the edge of something very special for everyone, and we get to learn and experience and make mistakes and yeah, discover more and more. I love it, and I love to be able to share that, all of our journeys.
Yeah, I expect to see more videos on YouTube from you. Really interested to see it. Why do you laugh? Why do you do that?
I am not being called by YouTube at all.
Okay.
If you know, lately my life, I have many opportunities, and yeah, YouTube is not one of them, and I have to really focus. Yeah.
What do you do? What's your lifestyle like, if I may ask?
Um, hmm. So I live a sweet life in Bali, first of all. It's very cool. I live by the ocean. I don't surf once, just. And then here I live, you know, we are a lot of people like-minded into spirituality and all of that. So I'm very much into kirtan. I don't know if you know. No? It's the absolute most wonderful practice ever. It's from Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. And kirtan is one of the way to do Bhakti Yoga. So we all come together and sing. So there's like a band, we all seated at the same level, but the band is in front of the crowd with harmonium. Do you know harmonium?
Yeah, I know harmonium.
Harmonium, some drums, some vocals, guitar, sometimes flutes, all kinds of stuff. And then we sing mantras together. and it's like so ecstatic. It's such a party. It's such open the heart in ways that nothing opened my heart before. It
Mm,
lifts you up. It's like when you practice bhakti yoga, it's said that kirtan, this unification to sing mantras together, very high frequency
mm,
mantras, kirtan is the destination and it's the journey. There is no
mm.
higher practice than that.
Wow.
And I have been practicing or singing for 1 year, and I truly believe that. So this is a big part of
Wow.
my life, actually. And now I'm
Mm,
working a little bit with one kirtan group here that are amazing. So I'm spending time with them, helping them organize some events. And yeah, this is a big part of my life right now. Um, yeah, devotional, get closer to God in this celebrative way. And other than that, I also transmit. So I work as energy guide, mostly online with the French. This is something that I care a lot about, to actually transmit everything that I get to have, feel, embody here, there, because it's much needed. So I
mm,
have an online course called Magic You, where I teach them everything about energy, how to release, activate, feel, have fun, channel, all kinds of stuff energy wise.
mm,
I also do one and what else? Now I'm creating a second course for a platform that is supposed to teach people. It's
yeah.
not from me, but I collaborate with them to teach people freedom in all kinds of way, financially, spiritually. Yeah,
Mm,
and for now, this is what's in my field.
yeah. How are your relationships?
Oh, interesting questions. Well, actually, I am single now for 2 months since I did a vipassana meditation for 10 days.
Mm,
Yeah, before my vipassana, I had a certain life still in Uluwatu by the ocean with all of my friends. I had actually polyamory relationship, so I had two partners, and it was
yeah.
wonderful. Really, I was blessed by conscious, amazing people.
Yeah.
But then I went to the Vipassana, and that was the beginning of major shift for me. CAP
Mm,
is a part of it, but Vipassana was like the beginning. So I went
mm,
out of Vipassana, and one of my partners left back to Los Angeles. So we ended things. And
mm,
the other just broke up with me, and that was a more committed relationship for 5 years, for 5 months, sorry, not years. So but in Bali, 5 months equals 5 years, just so you know. It's such
nice.
a vortex here. So
Nice.
yeah, it was actually very difficult for me, more difficult than I thought, to let go of all of that, this past self, past life, kind of before those 10 days, which felt a year,
Mm,
and
mm,
past relationship. And now I've come to the point where I am totally okay with that. I made peace
mm,
with it. And I am not ready to welcome the next chapter relationship wise. I know what it's going to look like, and the vision is getting more clear as they go by, and it's beautiful.
mm,
And it's going to be a very aligned, very deep, and fun partnership, very deep connection. And from that point, we can open, of course. But
mm.
yeah, just start with that depth. But it's not for now. For now, I can feel that there's a lot to do in my energy and the work, also transmission.
What, what do you think is the value of relationships besides just having beautiful experiences with people
Hmm, interesting. The value of relationships.
for you?
For me, honestly,
Yeah.
I the way I experienced life this past year here in Bali, where relationships is everywhere in every way, it's one of the most important things. Like the value is undefinable. We get to experience life together alone, You don't experience that much. You do a little bit, but it's nothing compared to sharing it. Nothing. You get to feel for real, feel the joy for real, feel the sadness for real. You get to, yeah, get inspired. Oh my God, the value in relationship. I am so inspired and amazed by everyone around me. This is, yeah, one of the biggest, I guess, for me, the value, inspiration.
Hmm. Can I
What
ask,
about you?
what did you,
Yeah.
what about me?
Yeah.
Honestly, when I look back at it, mm, the way it is now, it's mostly, so mostly now for me, it's like, if there is a genuine connection, it's really nice to have that connection and to go into it and to, let's say, to, if you have a good wave, a genuine love wave or a depth, and you ride it out together, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. It's like those, one of the highest experiences you can have in life. But once you get through that, once that phase is over, you get to know each other and all that kind of stuff. And then you really have to relate to each other with not just the feeling of love and all, but with the person and the personal stuff. And when those things interact, for me, it's like so exciting, because in that interaction, it's like, whoa, something's being triggered in me. Some negativity is being triggered in me. I have something to work on. I have something to release. So in a way, it's like, it being that close, it's like it cuts to the core of your shadow, of whatever you're hiding, of whatever, you think, I'm spiritual, I'm good, I'm on this high frequency. But then when you're alone, and you get stung into that place, and you're like, oh shit, I still have that thing. And you realize, like, every negative reaction, there's some unconsciousness in it, like everyone. So for me, it's like, it's such a, well, it all depends, of course, from what kind of energy it also comes, because there are appropriate negative reactions. But I mean, it's such a well to just um, refine the embodiment process, to really have that mirror in front of you, and see yourself, like, what is this person reflecting to me, like, and when the person is not nice to you, when the person is not behaving the way you want them to behave, what do you do then? Do you also, react back, or what do you choose? How long do you choose? How long can you handle? Like, how do you adapt to that? Are you doing it strategically with your mind? Are you feeling it? It's, for me, it's like, it's a whole world, it's like you can either do it with your mind and your head, you can do it with your head only and with the body, or you can do it with your heart. So for me, it's really amazing. Like, my first, like, big epic love relationship, I was really led to it through energy after my awakening. And when I saw her, we had a bad experience. It was so bad. We had intercourse, and it was like, so, like, not good, not good. And then like, we didn't speak for a while, and then I was meditating, and I had this thought, like, give everything you have to give to her. And those words crystallized, and I just felt like those words crystallize and fall into my belly, and I start to have these impulses. So whenever I would be with her, I would have this activation, and it was like two becoming one. Like, the energy would attune itself to the other, and you're vibing together as one, and you're giving and taking, and it's so yeah, it's so beautiful to experience that and to go all the way. And that time when I was there, I really had so much chance to whenever I was suffering, to let go. Because in the first instance, it was all about that. Whenever I was suffering, like, oh, this is hurting me so much, it was like, just like, you have to let this go, you have to let this go. And then when she cheated on me, it's like, you cannot possess her. So it was letting go of the idea that I can possess a person, like all these kind of things. So yeah, for me, it was really that. But honestly, I've never had a high consciousness relationship before. So I wonder how that will be like. Yeah.
But it's very interesting, and wow, I agree 100%. So thank you for saying that, because yeah, I didn't mention it, and I agree. It is very powerful to work on yourself when you're willing to see it. And yeah, to me as well, every reaction is something to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It can be fun also. You know, in my last relationship, the guy that broke up with me after 5 months, um, like polyamory. It was my first time. Actually, he was very open before, and we started being poly. So in a more conscious way, like less partner for him, and for me, just yeah, openness to someone else. And yeah, of course there are triggers. Like for me, it came from so deep in my heart that I wanted to do that. Like it was such a high calling, and I had no idea everything it was going to teach me, which is
Mm,
pure unconditional love, like
mm,
real love, not love for myself because you give me something, but actually love for you because you're just
yeah.
amazing and I
Mm,
set you free and stuff. So yeah, this
mm,
non-attachment. But within this process, of course, there are triggers. Again, we detach ourselves from old patterns, but then we need to like, okay, activate them in the real time. So things happen. And for me, I always had the triggers, but they would last, I don't know, a few minutes, maybe hours, the time that we speak. I don't know. And then we speak,
mm,
we reassure, I drop back into my heart, into my purest intention, and then boom, it's gone. And that was amazing. So then there would be all others coming, but always like that. It's like diffusing the bomb every time.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
But for him, at the end of the relationship, he said, yeah, you were never really happy because you were always triggered, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. I mean, for
mm,
me, I could see the trigger as really opportunity. And for him, it was like such a pain because blah, blah, blah. But no,
yeah,
it's, yeah, when you're conscious enough, at least to look at the triggers and work on them, it can be
yeah,
beneficial because we always have
yeah.
triggers. Like you can choose to see it or not.
I remember the first time that like we were together somewhere in a park or something. And she was getting some French fries, and like something in me was like triggered or something. And I just like while she was getting French fries, I was just sitting, and just breathing and dropping in and just breathing, and just like inquiring, like is this real? And it was like dissolving. And she came to me and she's like, why are you doing like this? Why are you sitting with your eyes closed? And I'm like smiling. I'm like, it's okay. Like I didn't mention it then. Afterwards, I mentioned it to her. And whenever she would get triggered, I would never react to it. So, when a person is triggered, you can either like fight with them or like try to fix it for them. I would always like just leave the space for it to unfold and not react, not give it any reaction to it. And then the person would by themselves realize it.
Mm.
And she was like, um, she would have her reaction, she'd go through it. I wouldn't react to it.
Mm.
And then she was like, I'm working on myself. I don't know why this is happening. I'm like, you see, this is what I'm doing when I'm closing my eyes. I go into it to really like in a connection with it to understand like what's going on. Yeah, but I guess it's also like communication and knowing that with each other, like we're gonna do this. Like if this happens, we're gonna use this for our growth also. Like sure, we have like we're gonna walk together now for some time, this path together, but like when things are not beautiful, like let's use this to learn from this also.
Yeah,
Mm.
totally. And yeah, there are these two ways, like the way you do of being super calm and being able to react kind of inward and then go through it, or the way of your ex or girlfriend, and the same way I do, to just react in the moment and like, okay, let's talk now. But I
Yeah,
guess actually the two together is great. The one that's able to like stay cool and the other that can diffuse. Mm.
yeah, yeah. I guess I guess at a certain point you really understand like either like this works or it doesn't work, because either the person who's constantly reacting is like he's not, or she or he's not reacting, so let me try to also not do that. Because like I remember this one time, it was some time ago, like there was like a speaker that came to Brussels and I wanted to interview him. So I prepared myself. I'm going to interview him. It's going to be so nice. Da, 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 da. And like, hey, do you want to come along with me? You want to come along to the interview? He's like, no, not really, not interested. I'm like, come on, please come along, come along. She's like, no, 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 not interested. So then I go, I'm on my way, I'm on the train. She's like calling me, I want to come along, I want to come along. Can you wait? I'm like, yeah, sure. So she comes, she takes the wrong train. She goes into wrong direction. She calls me, yeah, like I'm in the wrong thing. Can you come and get me? I forgot my money. And I'm like standing there on the train tracks. And I'm like looking at the train. I can either go in and make it on time, or I can go and get her. And it was such a surreal moment because I felt like, whoa, like this is such a choice. Like, do I choose for myself? Do I choose for her? And I just felt into it. And I was just like, instead of struggling with it to make the decision, I just felt into it. Like, just breathe, just like, okay. And I went to her. It happened. I went to her, I went to get her. And as I was going to her, my mind was like, fuck, like, why didn't she just go? My mind was like so upset, like, come on, like, because of her, I missed that. Look at, you sacrificed for her and now you don't get to live your dream and this and that. My mind was like this. And I was just observing it. I was dropping into my heart and I was like, what's my purpose? Like, what do I want out of life? So I had like this near-death experience, right? So I have this memory of what I really want in life, and that's love, and to share love. Because in that near-death experience, I realized that. So I realized like, oh yeah, I want love and to share love. So I'm like, okay, so does it really matter that I went to that interview or not? Like, no, it doesn't matter, because if it's meant to happen, it's gonna happen. If not now, later. So I went to her, and as I went up to her, she was like expecting me to react, like you. But I went to her, I sat with her, I hugged her.
Oh,
She's like, oh, like I was so afraid that you were gonna like do something, but you did it. She's like, I really love me, like. I was just I was like, so funny how that works. It's like this could have gone a totally different direction, totally different. And I was listening to some audio then about karma, and this teacher, he was like, sometimes you're on this good wave and everything just flowing, everything's unfolding, and it's like, oh yeah, life is good. But then your good karma runs out, and then you're presented with all this thing, and you give into it or you let it go. You surrender. So I was like, I guess I had one of those days where I was being asked to surrender that, and to just trust that whatever's meant to happen will happen. If it's not now, then later. Yeah.
wow. That was the absolute best reaction ever. Yeah, it's a very high reaction. Well, like you said, you drop into the heart. I had a conversation yesterday with a friend where I was expressing my confusion and disappointment after the session. And he was reassuring, he was supporting me. And yeah, he was also showing me like what is the teaching there, and another vision, another kind of perception that I could have over the
Mhm.
same situation. And yeah, he was clearly showing me a higher thought. Like, we can choose to see a situation any way possible. And
Yeah,
there is highest and lowest kinds of thought, I guess. And yeah,
yeah,
this was a perfect example of the highest, the loving, and
yeah.
yeah, way beyond our expectations.
But I was so fortunate that it happened. And before that, she was a bit closed off to me. But that day, all of a sudden, there was this gentleness, this warmness. And we like went home. We had like amazing intercourse, so passionate, so like loving. And the next days was just this wave of beauty that was started in that moment. But if I had reacted differently, the days after would be so different. So yeah, it was like I'm so grateful for that experience. In a couple of years ago, if you have to go at any point, you can just say, and you can go.
Soon at 4:30, I have to go actually.
So there was this one point a couple of years ago. I was very obsessed with looking good and training and having a good physique. So I was training every day, meditating every day, and I was like, I'm gonna get enlightened. I'm gonna, build a perfect body and be good and da 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 da. Da. And I drank a lot of coffee, so much coffee. And I went to the gym and I drank too much coffee, and I was like, I feel really strong, but I'm gonna add even more coffee. So I took more coffee, and then at the gym, I was having like these kind of strange feelings. And I went home to my mom, and I was having these heart palpitations, and my heart was starting to contract. I was like, fuck! I felt so bad. So then I was like going to the hospital. I called an ambulance. So in the ambulance, arrived at the hospital, and then the contractions were really strong. It's like somebody is inside your heart, like doing like this, like I was like, fuck. I was like, fuck, fuck, fuck. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? And then my mind was like, oh, please, God, don't let me die. Don't let me die, please. I was like looking, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And what I did was I made it even worse because I resisted it. So there was contraction happening, and I was like, no, I don't want this to happen. And I put even more contraction on that. And that created a small trauma in that moment because I was resisting it. Um, so that was happening, and my mind was, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Why don't I want to die? And then like, I saw my life, and I was like, oh, I have such regrets that I just didn't live like this normal life. Why did I want to be so special? Why didn't I want to, make myself special? And all of a sudden, I saw like all these moments where I didn't live, where I didn't express love, where I missed opportunities to love. I was like, I want to love. I want to love more. I just want to live, to love more, to have more experiences of love, to be in love. And I survived. It was okay. It passed. And after that, like I had this deep fear that something was wrong, and I got really cautious. And there was this whole thing that started that had to play itself out, but it was good in a way. And then after that, I knew for myself, oh, what's really important for me is to love in my life, to love. So after that, I know, like, I try to always, whenever I have the ability, to choose love. Yeah.
Wow.
So that
Well,
I don't have that regrets.
yeah. So that was the near death experience you were mentioning.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Was that a heart attack?
I don't know what it was, but it was really awful. It was,
Wow. It sounds
yeah,
very intense. Yeah.
yeah, it was. I had one similar experience to that in Amsterdam, where it was really stupid. Do you know Adderall and these kind of things?
Yeah.
Have you ever used it?
No.
So it's like it gives you like this very great concentration for studying and for being productive. So I was not using Adderall, but I think it was modafinil. I was using modafinil, and then I was in Amsterdam, and we were having like this bite to eat, and then my girlfriend was like, hey, let's go and get some brownies with some weed in it. Like, "Yeah, sure, sure, sure." And I forgot that I had like taken modafinil before. So I ate the brownie and I'm sitting in this restaurant with her and we're eating like whatever we're eating. And all of a sudden something shifts. I was like, holy shit, something's fucking bad is happening. And I'm sitting there and it's like, imagine you have your heart inside and it's like this bell and something like metallic is like ding. So inside of me it was like
Ooh.
these like, oh my god, I was like, what's happening? And that moment it started and it was like it went on from some time. I thought like that I was having a heart attack or I was dying, but in that moment I wasn't resisting. I was just like, okay, it's just gonna happen. Like I told a guy about it and he was like, yeah, just it's just probably from the brownie, just a bad trip, just let it pass. It's like, oh, okay, sure, sure, because he said that idea and I thought like, no, but nobody's gonna help me and maybe it is from the brownie. I just let it happen. It was so like painful, or it was very very like, yeah, it was very intense and it was very like scary, but I wasn't resisting it. So there was no trauma from that experience. There was no like, oh, fear or that something is wrong. But after that, when in the hospital with the coffee, there was, just because of that resistance, that really taught me about resisting and not resisting the
Yeah.
experience and what impact that has on the future.
Wow. Yeah, I guess as hard as it is to live that, um, there are some amazing teachings there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. I also wanted to do Vipassana a couple of times, but I never got to it. Is it worth it?
Yeah, yeah. It was very intense. It's very difficult and powerful.
What
Personally,
was new? What surprised you?
oh, I was gonna say everything.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never even looked Vipassana online ever, but I always wanted to do one. So I literally expected that Vipassana, you arrive, you meditate seated for 10 days, and then you get out. So I expected that you come and sit, and the way I meditate, you get super high.
Mm.
And so for 10 days, oh my God, you clean all your shit, you go super high. I would meet all kinds of light beings, all kinds of consciousness trips, whatever. I arrive and no, Vipassana is actually a technique, a meditative
Mm.
technique,
Mm.
which is focused on sensations on your body. So you're going to stay
Mm.
right here.
Yeah.
And it's very strict because there is, hours in the day, like you wake up at 4, you meditate
Yeah.
for 10 hours, but like 1 hour, 2 hour, then you have a breakfast, a lunch, and you don't eat at night. Well, that was
Mhm.
very scary for me because I always eat at night. So yeah, it was very long. There were days where I was feeling so blissful. There were days where I was feeling so light and I was doing it right because the technique is kind of difficult sometimes. And it was amazing. And there were days where I was bored to death in between the meditation, where I couldn't handle it anymore, where, oh my God, it's so difficult. But every, of course, experience is different. There are people that do it again and again. And I have a few friends that they said, yeah, every time is very different, even for them. So yeah, it depends on what you work on and what's present for you
Mm.
at this moment.
Mm.
For me, it was a great teaching of embodying equanimity, because equanimity came into my life with this whole detachment phase and stuff like that. It really, yeah, I got to learn about it. I got to live it a certain way, more in a mind state. But this was a body equanimity, and that was so special, very
Mm.
special to live, to learn, to see. Also to see what it's like to cut off from everything. No phone, no book, no people, no talking. Cut off, only meditate. How do you feel in your body? How do you feel in your mind? And then when you go back to life, what is the difference? And yeah, meditation fixes a lot of our problems. A lot. Like, yeah, our problems are just from the mind, and when you meditate, it's just gone. And also it's interesting when you come out of the Vipassana, because you're super open. At least I was very open. And as painful as that was, and because of the outside world going crazy around me, it was also very beautiful to feel in this way.
Yeah. Nice.
Mhm.
So what changed in your life after that because of that?
I think I came
Everything.
out.
Yeah.
I didn't have my partners anymore. At this moment I didn't have any clients. I thought I would when I was in between, during the time.
Yeah.
I didn't have a house, so yeah, I didn't have any money actually when I come out. When I came out, yeah, yeah, it was like, okay, I'm there, like I am there.
Yeah.
And after that, slowly, actually, that day when I came out, I took the phone, crazy phone, and so all of that at once, basically,
Mm.
was very difficult because, oh my God, I went into my fears, insecurities,
Mm.
and like,
Mm.
oh my God, how am I gonna do? And I was crying, and I was so open, and I was also like in bliss, everything at once that day. And I was dancing a lot also in Bali. There's dancing the Sunday morning, being with people. It was way too much all at once after 10 days of silence.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but it allowed me these crazy times where everything changed and I had nothing, kind of, to see all that I had. And I was so blessed that day and all the days that follow, and actually every day of my life. But then I could see it because I had only that. All the people around me loving me so deeply, so purely, and showing it to me. And it was like not one or two, not three, it was dozens of them just keeping showing up for me, showing me their love. And oh my God, that was just the best experience.
Mm.
Wow, wow.
Mm.
All this love, and all the love that I was feeling for them, of course. Yeah, so this was really epic to see, thanks to all this shift. But then after, of course, it got more aligned. I moved to another
Yeah.
town, lived different experiences, healed, and met Cap, did a lot of kirtans and bhakti yoga, and now I'm here talking to you.
Can I ask you one last question?
Yeah.
What's your deepest fear?
Huh. Ah, actually, in Vipassana, you think a lot, there's a lot going up in your mind. And for some people, there's a lot of creativity, like inspiration, blah, blah, what am I going to do? For me, I'm usually very driven and creative and always think about what's next for me to create. But in Vipassana, not once I thought about creation. I only thought about the people. Like, I didn't want to think about something particular, but in my mind for 10 days straight, nonstop, it was only the people that were in my life before, the people that are in my life, and thinking of us, the moments of joy. How are they? Are they good? And I realized that my deepest fears, and there was my biggest emotional burst and release, was to for those people to die.
Mm.
This is my biggest fear, I guess. My loved ones dying, leaving this plane and this life right now.
Mm.
Yeah. But I think I have a lot of trauma from that, from my childhood. So yeah, I guess this is not processed at all. Like, on one hand, for me, I feel like I'm comfortable with my own death. I would just be heartbroken for them to deal with that,
Mm.
but I'm totally
Mm.
fine. Like, if I go, it's okay. But for them, yeah, it's just different for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Thank you for sharing.
Mm.
Mm.
What's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, honestly, it changed over the years. I was for a long time afraid of dying. I guess now, at the stage where I am at, the biggest fears that I have is like the fear of not existing, because I faced that a lot in CAP. I realized there was this moment where like a light being was asking me, you have to let go of yourself to so that a new consciousness can express itself fully through you. You have to let go fully. And I have this habit to hold on to fear, because I have this thing, if I hold on to fear, this fear is creating control in my life, and through that control I can, I can expect things, create comfortable situations, and it gives me the illusion that fear is what is giving me the control to create everything so that I feel safe. And the being is like, you have to release that and to put all your faith into God and accept that whatever's going to happen is going to happen. The death, all of it, whatever good experience, bad experience, all of it, you have to give it all up, all that control, because in reality it is already happening. You just have the illusion that your fear is now, helping you to feel safe. So for me, it's not existing, the fear of not existing, and maybe also the fear, this is like on a body level, do like get into some kind of situation where you're really suffering for a very long time and it's drawn out, to be in that suffering state. That's like, that's nice. I mean, at a certain point, you would be so done with it. You're just like, I just want to die. Like, I don't want this anymore. But like being stuck in that, that's like one of that. And yeah, those two things are like my biggest. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to cut out of the video, you can cut it out, and then you can send it to me via WeTransfer.
Yeah, I will.
And I'll send you the meditations that I do before the session. And if you would want to do an inner dance before that, you can let me know. Otherwise, you can let me know afterwards how it was for you. Or I can even send you a track and you can do one on your own. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I will wait. It feels right to wait for this Saturday to do the first one. And after that, I would love to share with you, of course. I will send you the contact of that person I mentioned, the French facilitator, and maybe my list of books also we talked about. And yeah, and this video also. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everything, Igor. I loved our little meeting. It was so cool. Very interesting. I feel like we could cover even more ground on all of these topics that I love so much. And I would love to do that again if you want.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, very much. Thank you very much. It was really pleasant to see who you are or how you are. And yeah, you have a very nice quality. Very nice.
Thank you so much. You too. You too. You're really amazing. Thank you for being super open, whether it's on your channel or here today. It's very pleasant.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
And enjoy yourself.
Yeah, you too. And yeah, I send you everything, and I let you know after this inner dance. Bye, Igor.
Bye-bye.